Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont. And I saw this article. Well, I saw this headline. I haven't read the article yet. And it seemed like a bad idea in general. I don't have. Let's just go on. This is from Eurogamer. Um, $80 for Borderlands 4 too costly? Randy Pitchford says, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Not my call. Now, I understand that it's not your call, Randy, but there are better ways to convey the message that the studio or the creators or the game company, whoever, is pricing this at $80 and there's no option, no choice, and it's not within your control. This is not the way. You're just going to piss people off and you're going to drive customers away. People are just going to wait for it to go on sale before they buy it. So your initial sales are going to tank probably because of this one dumb statement you made. This was posted a couple days ago, but let's jump right in. Worry the impending rival of $80 games might price you out of your favorite hobby? Well, in Borderlands 4, if Borderlands 4 follows suit, Gearbox boss Randy Pitchford has suggested the community should just suck it up and deal with it. If you're a real fan, he recently told a potential purchaser, you'll find a way to make it happen. Pitchford made the proclamation on social media after a Borderlands fan opined Randy better not or Borderlands 4 better not be $80. Why did they put that in? Oh, because he probably just said Borderlands and they had to clarify that it was 4. Why it's in a bracket. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of the price tag. You are the CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher. But Pitchford begged to differ. Not my call, he insisted, before dismissing pricing concerns. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach and found a way to make it happen. So I'm going to stop right here for a minute. This is what I've been saying about the game price situation is that it has been stagnant for a long time, but the cost of games has been going up. Now, this is going to ultimately result in the price of games going up. The big difference is most companies have gotten away from physical media, and the reason to increase the price of games is to recoup the loss of one, the price to pay to make the game and create it, the salaries of the people who made it happen, and the exorbitant amount of money needed to publish the game in physical media. Now, I'd have to go back and do a cost benefit analysis on it, but I'm pretty sure one of the most expensive parts of gaming back in the day was creating the physical copies of the games to send to retailers to sell, which meant people had to show up to the retailer and they had to drop money to purchase the copy. Now that we live in a digital age, and most games are digital only and very few games have physical copies, this isn't an issue, which is why the prices should stagnate. I am a firm believer of paying a higher price for physical medium. It doesn't bother. It doesn't bother me because you're paying to have it in hand, something you have a tangible copy. Worst comes to worst, you can disconnect a console from the internet and probably download the game and play it that way, unless it's got some stupid requirement where you have to put it to the internet in order to play, which is something games have been doing. I think some are getting away from it because it kills companies that do that. A lot of those companies have shut down because people just aren't willing to play a game that's single player but requires an internet connection. It's stupid. It's nonsense. Quit doing it. Stop. Get some help, as the old ad would say. But for it to be digital and it to go up to $80 is it's a little bit insulting. That should be the incentive to drive up sales is to go, hey, you want to buy the game? It's $80 to get the disc, or 55 or $65 to buy it digitally. That way you can get it now. You don't have to go to a store, and it's a little cheaper because you don't have a physical copy. That's the way things should be. I don't really have much say in that. That's just my opinion. I do think that the price hike has been long coming because games have stagnated in price for nearly 3 decades. But, he has a point here when it comes to the games used to be a lot more expensive. If you adjust for inflation, I think Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo is roughly equivalent to like a $130 game now because of how expensive it was back then when it came out. So it's one of those things. It's like this weird area and strange territory where, yeah, games used to be way more expensive, and then they plateaued in the disc era because discs were cheap and easy to manufacture and mask. They were cheaper to ship because you could put more disc in a box than you could, Nintendo or Super Nintendo cartridges, and they're big ass boxes. I think a Super Nintendo box is 2.5 DVD boxes in size overall. So you're looking at being able to ship a lot more product in a box, thus reducing some of the cost. But I'm rambling. Let's get back to this article. The response from Borderlands fans on social media was unsurprisingly swift, strong, and overwhelmingly negative. Thanks. Now I won't buy the game even if it costs 70, one person wrote, while another added, that has to be one of the worst CEO replies from recent memory. Another called Pitchford's comment elitist and out of touch. Rich person says just find the money, another wrote, with plenty more using considerably stronger language. Of course, none of this means Borderlands 4 will cost $80 when it eventually arrives, but the industry certainly seems to be heading in that direction. Nintendo got the ball rolling earlier this year when it announced the $79.99 US dollar price tag for Mario Kart World on Switch 2, and Microsoft was quick to follow, confirming that some Xbox game prices would rise to $79.99 at the end of 2025, presumably in time for this year's Call of Duty. I also have a theory that the reason GTA 6 was delayed was so they could weather the storm and see how many people continued buying games at the increased price of $80. Because if game sales only go down 10 or 15%, the amount extra from that 20 extra dollars over the price tag would probably recoup those losses. So I think GTA 6 very well could release at $80, or they might be doing a power play, which is unlikely to me, waiting to see how people react and then saying, oh, it's only 60 or $70. Even if it's only $70, that's still $10 cheaper than everyone, which will make it enticing. But if they do that, it will solidify the fact that $60 games are dead and gone if they're from AAA studios. So I think GTA 6 is going to be the defining line in the sand, as you would, for $80 games or game prices moving forward. It really depends on what they do and how well it sells. That's going to set the market. If you ask me, that's my opinion on the situation. Now, where was I? Call of Duty. Notably, however, Borderlands 4 publisher Take Two has relayed a more cautious approach to price increases, with CEO Strauss Zelnick recently reiterating the company's stance on variable game by game pricing. While some analysts have speculated next year's GTA 6 might reach as much as 100, yeah, I don't know. 100 seems a bit much. They will do $100 version where you get some extra dumb outfits that are completely useless but pure cosmetics. But I think they're weathering the storm. I just went over this. One of the only confirmed prices on Take Two's upcoming roster is Mafia: The Old Country, which costs $50. Borderlands 4 pricing details are yet to be shared. But while customers might balk at the rising cost of games, former PlayStation exec Shuhei Yoshida recently suggested the move was inevitable. I think it was going to happen sooner or later, he explained in the wake of the Mario Kart World's price reveal. Maybe not from Nintendo, but it was going to happen eventually. We live in a contrasting times where inflation is real and significant, but people expect games that are ever more ambitious and therefore more expensive to develop to cost the same. It is an impossible equation. This is what I've been saying all along. This was an inevitability. And the reason I think part of the reason Nintendo is doing it is because of the secondhand market where many Nintendo games cost as much or more than they did brand new. So if you want to get a copy of Luigi's Mansion, I believe Luigi's Mansion goes for $70 from the Switch version of Luigi's Mansion. It retailed at 60. So you're paying more now for Luigi's Mansion than you did new at retail when it came out. So I think Nintendo's noticed that and they're saying, hey, people are willing to pay an inflated price for our games. Why don't we just charge it now? Could be part of it. I'm not sure. That's pure speculation. But as for Borderlands 4, that's set to launch on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S on the 12th of September after Take Two announced it was bringing its release forward. But yeah, there you have it. Yet another tone deaf CEO comment. This is kind of up there with the Phil Spencer uh, Xbox Live and Xbox Digital only comment, where they were going to force people playing Xbox to exclusively purchase digital games, which most people do now, but they want the option to be able to buy physical media. And that's where I think the price increase should really be set. I think the physical media should cost more, digital media should cost less. You're downloading a file off of a server with digital media. That the cost overhead for printing a file and having multiple people download it is negligible compared to printing thousands and or even millions of copies of a game to ship across the country. You don't have to pay shipping costs. You don't have to pay manufacturing. You don't have to pay artists to print like new covers and whatnot. Although with AI, they're not really paying artists anyway, as it is. Shit's getting out of hand. But I guess Randy's just the latest CEO to say some really bonehead shit in regards to his game. And I hope it hasn't hurt the game. I mean, I don't think anything will hurt the game as much as Borderlands 3 did, but this certainly is not helping anything when it comes to selling units. But that's all I have for this story. This is your host, Belmont, signing out.